Welcome to Hermanos FC, and I'm joined today with my brother. And on this recording, we're going to talk about Inter Miami's implosion last night against Monterrey in the
They
Champions Cup
imploded?
quarterfinals. But before we get into our chat, I want to please ask everyone who's listening to subscribe, to push that like button. It really does help us out. We are a new show, so that any help goes a long way. Leave your comments, all that good stuff. Now, getting into it, let me just kind of get run off a little bit of the stats from last night. They were already coming in on aggregate. It was already
2-1.
2-1. They played in Monterrey, which was obviously an uphill climb. That place is a fortress. Um, on Monterrey's side, Brandon Vasquez scored, which an American. Um, he
Sure.
did not hold back. He played really well both legs. I think he's probably one of those dudes that's going to go away soon. Um, German Bertrames scored and Jesus Gallardo scored as well for Monterrey. The only scorer on Miami's side is Diego Gomez, and Jordi Alba got a red card in the 78th. And that's pretty much a little synopsis of how the game went down. Super. Um, their light was dimmed last time. Miami didn't do anything in terms of how to stop
They got
their
work, dude.
attack.
Let's
Their
not
formation was weird.
let's not even
Um,
sugarcoat it. They got worked last night. Like that wasn't even. They got worked. That's it. They got played. They got outclassed. That didn't look like Miami at all. And again, I've told you a while ago that if they constantly look for Messi, it's not going to work, right?
mhm.
Like there's no in between either. Like yeah, I get it. He's the best player in the world and all this stuff, but they rely on him too much. Like every time it needs to touch his feet.
Yeah,
And at some point you see other people open and it has to go through it kind of slows down the game. It's like it has to go through Messi first and then it'll get to that player. Um which I don't know if I'll get a lot of hate for that, but I mean at some point they just keep marking Messi because they know it's going to get to him, regardless if he has two people on him, and that's it. You know what I mean?
yeah. They shut down the attack pretty quick. Um, I was so let's go kind of a little bit by little bit in terms of the game. Um, One of the first things I want to talk about too is that uh, a lot of people on Reddit I looked last night want Tata out. They want him out as a coach. Seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. And last night was a really weird indication
I mean,
on the formation that he put up and the substitutes that he never made.
well, I mean, first half they looked. I mean, granted, yeah, sure, that unfortunate calendar,
Oh
giveaway
yeah,
that led to the
yeah.
goal. That was his goal, but. Other than that, they played pretty well. They missed a lot of opportunities, so I understand not changing anything. But it does come to a point where they look gassed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still no one came in. Still
The
no
high
one came
altitude,
in.
probably.
I don't know if it's a high altitude. It's just they leave a lot of spaces open and then start chasing the ball, which that's
Mm-hmm.
just never going to work. And Monterrey's actually, touches the ball well. I don't know. You're just always playing catch up. At least with Inter. They have young legs. They have young players that can run, but I think you're asking too much of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see how tall, how high, how high, like where in the mountains. It's saying it's 5,000 feet up.
What is,
So that's pretty. I mean, that would gas you out. I think.
I don't think
That'll
that has to
gas you out.
play.
Is it?
I don't think that really has a factor. I
Well,
mean,
if you're coming from you're
when they
coming
go to
straight from Miami.
Colorado, they
Yeah, yeah.
when they go play in Denver,
No,
I th-
yeah, I guess you're right.
I think
That's
honestly,
an
if
excuse.
that atmosphere got to them, um, they were chasing the ball. This whole counter-attacking thing that they still want to do,
Right,
um,
right. With the players
like
that can't
yeah,
do that.
with the players that they could have back in a couple years ago, they totally could have. It's not that right now. It's not. And
So
it's up, but I also think it's unfair for you to fire the coach already because there's this
the
whole
season isn't so bad, but that was a. I think the problem is with stuff like this is that losing is part of the game. Like you can lose, and that's fine. Like it happens. Like you're not gonna fucking win everything. But I think it's the way they lost is
yeah
what's
they got schooled honestly.
is what's giving everyone a bad taste. I think that's really the issue. It's like the
Mm.
way that they lost. But I think the issues are going to persist with the amount of games that they have to play. I mean, it's a full on season. Like they're it's just the exhaustion, all that stuff is going to be part and parcel to playing this. We got older players that like don't have the legs to sustain a marathon that long. So it's going to be an issue moving forward. I just don't know what the solution is though, and maybe you can give me like a clear idea of like what is like a good,
I
because we could
mean,
see the problems, but then what? How do you fix them?
honestly, depth, right? That's what helps you win championships. Um, if you have a player that can come on, I get it. They're not going to be as they're not going to be Messi coming off the bench, but you need a strong depth that can replace the starters in the season to keep up the level of winning and all that. And I understand Inter has a lot of injuries, but that's also an excuse for me to like. I think Columbus Crew last year too had a bunch of injuries and they wanted everything. Nashville did too, and their youngsters that came in were balling. Um, so that's an excuse, honestly.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It seems it's going to be an uphill battle. I think we talked about this in length when we did our first studio episode, and we talked about like the troubles that they're probably going to have in there. It's happening. It's like coming true. We pretty much nailed it in terms of what was going to happen. So it sucks because this was a chance for them to do really well in a separate competition, but now they're out. So it's one of those things too where it opens up the schedule for them to focus on the season, and they don't
I
have like this like separate thing that they had to go to.
like being devil's advocate here too. It's still a team that was just put together, essentially, right? They bought these Dressel. This is his first season with Inter. That right back 57. I don't know how to say his last name. Right?
I don't know. Let me
Rigright or
look.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
First season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the CB that plays next to Avila's Ferrair or whatever. Um, first season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jordi Alba, Suarez. It's still everyone's first season. That's why it's kind of unfair for you to be like, oh, let's get rid of Tata. I think this is a wake up call for him, but I don't know. Tactics have to change because that's not working. Even when we
yeah.
go see the games live, it's not. It's not working.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Before I let you go, though, and I think we kind of covered pretty much what happened last night. One thing that I really couldn't stand last night, watching the game, even though it was late, it was a late East Coast game, so it it started at like 10:30, and so it was a long slog of a game. Oh, excuse me. Well, see, I'm already tired from how long the game was last night. But one of the things that I hated was that Alexi Lawless was a commentator last night.
Oh God, love him.
And
You know what I mean?
good lord, that guy. But he does from time to time say some smart shit. So
Yeah,
at halftime, he did say that these guys need to wake up and, like, and he pretty much covered the bases that we're talking about. So sometimes he has some. He's a very divisive personality, but it was a tough watch, especially that late, and for them to lose that way. But obviously, the season goes on, and we'll see how they do for pretty much the rest of the year. Not including Copa America. That summer's gonna be tough. That summer's gonna be tough
that's what
because
I'm saying. Like when they go to Copa America, like your team can't fall off that much. Not having Messi,
yeah,
right? It's not. I mean, I get it, right? He's the best, but the drop without him is crazy, man. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
So
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season stacks up. But everyone again that's listening, thank you so much for listening. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe. We just started. We put a few videos up, and they're doing really well. People are watching, which is really, really amazing. So thank you for the people that have been listening. And I'll talk to you for the next one, bro.